All right, guys, I want to tell you today about BDP. That is Bunch's Diesel Performance. This company is owned by a good friend of mine, Jonah Bunch, who I know and trust, and they're offering a pretty awesome service for all of you guys who are looking to turn your basic truck into a beast, all right? BDP is the place to go. You guys know the problems when you need something done to your truck. You send it to some shop, you might not know the person, you don't know if their work's going to be good, if they're going to screw you over, all that stuff. You don't have to worry about that with BDP. Anything from just general maintenance to big-time overhauls. BDP can handle turbos, injectors, engines, tires, wheels, transmissions, fuel systems, custom tuning, exhaust, lift kits and suspension, tune-ups, and more. He can pretty much do everything you would want done, and he can also suggest things that you might not even know you want done. Jonah's passion is really working on these diesel trucks, and him and his team are just awesome people. Also, if you don't live close to Bunch's Diesel Performance, Jonah has set up a network of transporters that if you need something done to your truck, especially those big jobs and those overhauls where it's really going to be worth it to send your truck to Jonah to have that done so you can have some peace of mind about it. They can come pick that thing up from you. They bring it to Jonah's shop. When it's done, they send it right back to you, man. That can be taken care of. Just give them a call or check them out online at bunchescustoms.com. You guys will find how to reach out to Jonah there. There'll also be links in the description of this episode. So can't recommend them highly enough. As a guy who loves his diesel truck and trucks in general, the service that BDP puts out is extremely valuable to me, and I hope you guys decide to give them a try. You won't be disappointed. Hey, I want to tell you guys about Salty Britches. I've been using this product for years, and it is an anti-chafing cream. It provides a long-lasting skin barrier that's going to keep you comfortable no matter what your activity is. Chafing really sucks. It can make your experience, whether it's ultra running, surfing, walking, hiking, you name it, chafing can make your experience miserable. Salty Britches is the best anti-chafing ointment on the market in my personal experience. You put it on one time, it lasts for a long time. You don't have to continuously reapply it. You're not going to be disappointed in this stuff if you get out there and get after it. It's been used by top performing athletes. It's been used by amputees, by surfers. It's been used by the military. This stuff has been put through the ringer. Check them out at saltybritches.com. It's an amazing product, best out there in my opinion. And it's an amazing company. The people behind the brand are good friends of mine. And I think that it's important that we support companies that share the same values as us. Salty Britches is one of those. So, again, saltybritches.com. Thank you, Salty Britches, for sponsoring this episode of the 3 of 7 podcast. Enough said. All right, welcome to the podcast, Boogie.
Hi.
Glad you're here.
This is my first time, with Courtney behind the controls, which having a female in here, whoa. I'm also learning the mic in the chair, so I'm really like, okay, I'm better.
Does Courtney make you nervous?
No, I love her being
Okay.
here. Yeah, I love her being here. And the studio looks so good. I love it.
Well, you had the idea the other day to do a podcast on communication, and you are a communications expert.
No, let me just stop you right there. The truth is, I had a list of topics. Communication was one of them, and that's what you wanted to talk about, and I am not an expert.
I think it's very important, and to be in reality, no one is an expert on communication. You know how you get good at communicating? Just by life and experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one is a daggone expert on it. But I think that both of us have realized how important it is in marriage, in the workplace, and also in just maintaining friendships. And for me personally, it's been a huge weakness of mine, which means I've learned some things about it along the way, because I don't really have any natural inclination to be a good communicator, because I am primarily what do they call it, an introvert?
You used to be. I don't think you can use that anymore. I don't think you're an introvert anymore.
I still am.
Really?
Communication is still hard for me. It drains me. It really does. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
you think about the speaking engagements that I do, and that's a form of communication. Obviously, I'm trying to communicate my story and these certain points and principles to people. And when I go and do it, I've gotten good at it, but it still absolutely drains me whenever I'm finished with a hour-long, 45-minute long speech. So, but before we get into it, we got to do our lightning round.
Lightning round?
Yep.
I'm looking at Courtney. What is the lightning round?
You're the guest today, so these are the questions, the lightning questions that I have come up with for you.
You come up with the lightning questions?
Yes.
I've been listening to podcasts. I haven't heard this lightning round thing.
It's
just finished Bo's. Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a brand new
This is the
thing.
I added, yeah.
Hold on, let me scratch my belly first, and then I'll be ready.
These are okay, you ready?
Ready.
CrossFit or trail running?
CrossFit.
Steak or chicken?
Oh, chicken.
Carrots or broccoli?
Broccoli.
Okay.
What?
Well, for some of the listeners, you may be wondering, why am I asking her carrots or broccoli? And you think they're both nasty, carrots and broccoli are nasty. But when you eat a carrot or a broccoli that is grown like in your backyard, is so good.
They're amazing.
Both of them are so good.
Two of my favorites.
How many people, I mean, I'll bet there's a ton of people out there who have never even had fresh, like homegrown broccoli or carrots.
Why would they? Why would, like, majority of people live in big cities. What opportunity do they have to eat? I mean, yeah.
They're missing out on so much.
Well, they think they don't like it. They just don't know. Lettuce is the same way. I just got a salad from Lumina. Bless their heart. Their lettuce is trashy. And like, it's like, it doesn't taste like lettuce. It's not, people would be like, I don't like lettuce. No, you would like lettuce if you had fresh lettuce.
For sure. It's a game changer. It is an absolute. So you pick broccoli. Okay.
You didn't like my answer.
No, broccoli tears my stomach up. I would pick carrots. Ford or Dodge?
Oh, Ford.
Really?
Duh. Yeah.
You used to drive a Dodge.
The only Dodge I ever had required, was that Lucas brand stop slip as its transmission fluid to run, and then it would still slip out of gear in the middle of an intersection.
Your first truck was a Ford Ranger.
Four-cylinder.
A brown Ford Ranger. And I'll never forget, for some reason, I was driving it for something one day, and those hills on Highway 278 between Rockmart and Dallas, Georgia, that thing would just barely make it up that hill. You had to floor it going down the hill so that you could get up enough speed and momentum to climb the next hill in front of you.
Floor, yeah, the pedal to the floor just to get up a slight incline.
So you're Ford all the way, for real?
Yeah.
Okay. Farming or animal husbandry?
Oh, that is farming.
No, you know what I mean. Farming would be plants, growing things, in the soil.
If I had to choose one,
or caring for animals, farm animals, not like pets, but like farm animals.
That is tough. I don't want to decide.
You have to. It's lightning round. You're supposed to have already decided.
Animals.
Animals? Oh,
yeah.
Dang. I didn't figure that. We moved your plants outside yesterday onto the back porch, and you were watering your plants, and the amount of joy that you get from like watering plants, it doesn't register with me.
Let's hope feeding this kid is the same amount of joy. I don't anticipate that, but I'm hopeful.
Alone time or time with friends?
Ooh. Time with friends. Alone time to recharge.
Chocolate or carrot cake?
Carrot cake.
Beard or clean shaven?
Clean shaven.
On your man. Really?
I'm over it.
Oh my gosh.
Been over it. I actually think I see like scrambled egg or booger. I'm not really sure which one from over here.
It's probably egg, yeah. I know the answer to this one. Hunting or fishing?
Fishing.
Turtles or snakes?
Oh, snakes. Those are hard. Are people actually going to be entertained by this segment? Really?
I think it's one of my favorite parts of the
You got to ask me
format.
like something controversial in the lightning round. Like something really juicy.
You're not a controversial person. I was thinking about that today. I was like, you really don't care about politics or current events or, you don't care. You don't keep up or care about any of that crap. You're just like bebopping along your own little way, you know?
I shared something yesterday on Instagram and it was like, first of all, it had my favorite song, like that Creed song, 6 Feet from the Edge. And it showed something about like, it said something like, when I've been defending Trump and then he claims that he's Jesus Christ or something. And the guy was going like this. I just thought it was funny. I didn't realize that actually happened. And then this morning, I posted it yesterday. This morning, I looked at all the comments and like quickly realized like, oh, he actually did that. I thought it was just like a reference to how like crazy he is.
No, it's what that's what part of our podcast was about yesterday.
I had no idea that happened.
But at the same time, we made an honest mistake because the picture was a picture of Donald Trump in white robes with a crimson sash. He was holding like an orb of glowing light in his left hand.
Where was this?
This was on his social media page. He was touching a man in a hospital bed on the forehead, and like light was radiating out of the man. There were people all around him bowing down and looking up to him, and then behind him the sky was split open and there were angelic beings coming out of the sky behind him. He posted this on his
personal.
Yeah, but honest mistake. We all thought that photo was of him portraying himself as Jesus, like the healer, the savior. It wasn't. That photo was him portraying himself as a doctor. That's what he said. He said that had nothing to do with me portraying myself as Jesus. I was portraying myself as a doctor.
This is why I don't keep up with
So we were
things.
all totally confused.
Because what is my brain supposed to do with that?
Laugh.
Like, what? Yeah, I mean,
you love humor.
You know what's funny? When you were describing that, I went like this. And that's exactly what that meme I shared yesterday did in reference to this fiasco. That feller is off his rocker.
None of it matters. You should be able to laugh about how ridiculous it is. All right. Well, did you enjoy the lightning round?
I did. I do wish there was more like, like juicy questions or like, like not so surface level if you want feedback.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Like a mixture. Like 2 or 3 in there that are like heavy hitters and then the rest are like broccoli and carrots,
I'll work on that. Well, I wanted to start off with looking at some scriptures about communication.
Ooh, I like that.
The Bible has a lot to say about communication, actually.
Just tells you to be quiet.
Not necessarily, although that is a big part of the message. I think the first Bible verse that I ever shared with somebody was with my friend Aaron shortly after I had began reading the Bible, and I read a verse that said, it's probably in Proverbs, it said, you will know a fool by his many words. And I think that was the first verse I ever shared with my friend. And
happened to be Aaron.
Yeah.
Sorry, Aaron.
He talked constantly. And so I was kind of using it as a poke to him, although it was sound wisdom for him to take on. And he agreed with it. He had no problem agreeing with it. But other verses, if you just do a search, what does the Bible have to say about communication? It just like tons of stuff is going to come up. These are just a few. James, the book of James, know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Ephesians, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear.
That's good.
Proverbs, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Colossians, let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. I'll just do a few more because there's so many we can't get to them. Psalms says, set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth, and keep watch over the doors of my lips. Proverbs, there is one whose rash words are like a sword thrust, but the tongue of the wise can bring healing. And it just goes on and on and on. All right, so you guys can do a study on that, but I think there's a lot that we can learn from Scripture about this specific topic.
I'm really glad you read those because even on the way here, I was grappling with, like, there's two parts of me in communication. There's the part that, like what we talked about just briefly yesterday is like, do I put too much emphasis on how I care for people when I communicate? And then there's this other part of me that's like, just say what you mean and be done with it. And like a lot of those scriptures indicate that God wants us to be intentional with our communication and like actually try. And a lot of those I heard he was calling us to be strategic, like to bring peace, to bring grace, to bring glory. That kind of makes me feel better about that push and pull between just say whatever and like if they don't like it, they'll get over it. And no, you should care for people in the way you communicate. And even if that means altering the way that it would spew out if you just let it naturally happen, that's not manipulation and that's not people pleasing, it's care.
Yeah. But I also think you can make a case that there's a time and place for both. If you want to talk about that specific aspect of communication, I was actually having a conversation with my friend Nathan last night, and he was talking about how difficult it is to motivate people to sign up and come and train, right? Part of his business is similar to 307 Project in that he loves instructing and teaching, and he's got a vast amount of experience and things that he can teach to other people. Same thing we do here at 307 Project. But he said, it's so difficult because you have people that say, oh yeah, I would like to do that. Or you have people commit to some sort of, training pipeline. Same thing at Proving Grounds this weekend. We had 20 people commit and pay for the course and only like 16 people show up,
Such a bummer.
20 people selected, 16 people show up. And it's like, he's like, sometimes I just want to tell these people that they're just like, you are just a turd. Like you just want to say, oh yeah, I think I could do that, or I want to do that. But like, you don't want to follow through with action what your words are saying, right? And he said, man, sometimes I just want to take the gloves off and just tell these people what the crap is wrong with them, And I said, well, to be honest with you, Nathan, some of the best response that I have ever gotten to motivate people to take action or to mobilize them to partake in something that is going to be challenging to them is when I have spoken that way, because I do speak that way a lot. Mm-hmm. So, there's tons of clips out there of me where I'm just being completely unfiltered, whether it's calling dudes out for having titties or, talking about somebody being an idiot or you being a lazy turd and not wanting to train and you can't figure out why the crap your life sucks or you can't, you know what I'm saying? And that has been an effective way to communicate the need for training, pushing yourself, making investments in yourself. It's been effective for me, but at the same time, his style is not the same as mine in that respect. It's like almost people have come to expect me to speak that way to them. And for some reason, it resonates with them. But then other people like you and like him, you guys can reach people with a different style of communication, not being so direct, but maybe being more caring and strategic about the way that that you are trying to encourage or motivate others around you, which is the harder way. My way's way easier. So I think there's a time and place for both, for sure. Like there is a time to say the hard things, in my opinion.
I agree. And one of those scriptures, the one that I was like, ooh, that's good. I forgot which one it was. It indicated like what you just said. It kind of, I'm paraphrasing, but it kind of said at the end of the scripture, like there's a time and place.
Yeah.
But like, what would you call the ability to read? Because I know you've met people and have people in your life who can't read like what you're saying. Okay, this is a circumstance where I need to motivate people and they need to hear the hard thing and this is appropriate, so I'm going to do that. Versus you're not going to walk up to somebody on the street or somebody you just met and speak to them like that. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a time and place, and you are very good at reading which type of communication you use. But there's some people, it's like they have blinders on. Like they don't realize what is appropriate when. Does that make sense?
Yeah. For me personally, I think about like in real life interaction, the people that I know I ought to say the hard things to are the people that I love and care about.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, you and I, not to jump around too much, but within our marriage, I am very blunt with you. Like I tell you exactly what I'm thinking, when I'm thinking it, verbatim. Like I don't filter things with you.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that here in just a minute.
I could tell when I started talking and you stopped listening to me and started looking at your phone that you weren't ready to talk about that yet. Thank you.
So I had some questions off the rip of this. We said communication is important. Why?
It's how you do everything. I mean, whether you're in, communication is everything. It's the foundation of all of our relationships. And without relationships, you can't get married, you can't have kids, you can't run a business, you can't be a part of a group, you can't have community. I mean, I guess
everything falls apart without it.
Right.
Yeah. That's the way I would sum it up.
Well, thank you for asking me and then telling the answer. Appreciate that.
Second question. Has communication become easier or harder? Like this day and age with technology?
Compared to like the 90s, for example, like without like social media?
Yeah, prior to social media, prior to cell phones, prior to all the convenience that has been created around our ability to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Is it better or worse? Harder, easier?
I mean, for me, I was blessed to grow up in the 90s and have parents who were really good communicators. And I didn't have a computer or cell phone until I was like 15. So for me, I got a foundation. But yeah, it's harder. Yeah, I would just say all around, yes, it's harder.
Why would you say it's harder? Because in reality, it's so much easier. Like, think about prior to cell phones. Think about how I remember when there was one house phone.
Yeah.
And like you could pick up, there was only one line and you could, unless you were home, you weren't talking to nobody. And when you were home, like if somebody else was using the phone and you picked up the phone, like you could hear their conversation and you had to wait for them to be done to be able to talk.
Your dad could listen to your conversation with your boyfriend and you had no idea.
Yeah. So it's like we have all these other means. We have text message, we have cell phone, we have social media, we have Zoom.
I think, bless you.
Thank you.
Like a good example of this I notice in myself is I don't feel like having phone calls anymore. Like, I think it's just a lazy thing. Like, I think communication goes down because the convenience goes up. And just like anything else, you feel more friction around doing the more thorough one. So, like, my grandma, she's 90 and she loves to talk on the phone. And I am on the phone all day long for work. And it drains me. And I'm just like, I would just rather text. But that's really me doing her a disservice in communication. But if that wasn't, if I couldn't text her, then I would have to call her. So I would just say like, yeah, that. Like your ability to feel connected to people through these little obscure, not very connective means just makes it worse because we're lazy. We're going to go with whatever's easiest and we're going to get used to it and then start lowering the bar every time something new comes.
Yeah, well, even with communication, I agree. Like we're choosing convenience over
depth.
Like depth. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I have a story about this because, again, people would think it's foolish for us to sit here and say that we've lost something in terms of our ability to communicate because of technology. They would think that's stupid because technology has added so much convenience to our ability to stay just constantly connected and sending text messages back and forth and talking to people from all over the country on a Zoom call or something like that. But I have a story around this. For instance, when I was in the Navy, my entire career, I wasn't at home being Georgia. So all of the conversations that my little brother Blake and I had over the course of about 10 years, minus just a few face-to-face interactions, maybe once a year we would see each other face-to-face, all of our conversation was over the telephone. And I found myself when I got out of the Navy and got back to Georgia and Blake and I started 3 of 7 project, it was really difficult for us to solve problems, have conversations, make decisions when we were having face-to-face interaction. It was easier for us to talk on the phone. And there's just, I just don't think that there's any comparison between sitting down with someone, especially a business partner or a brother, and having face-to-face conversation. I don't think that there's any comparison between that and the phone. You don't get as deep, as meaningful, as much meaning, because when you're face-to-face conversation, you have facial expressions, you have body language, you're having a shared experience. And I really think that hindered us for some years, not knowing or losing. We had lost the ability to sit down in the room together and talk to each other about important things, not just small talk, but what's the way forward? Like, what are we doing here? What's our mission? We had lost that ability to do that face to face, and we had to redevelop that over the course of some years. And I think that hindered us. So, yeah, I think that we have lost something.
Well, I'm going to sound like such a grandma. When I grew up in the 90s, we didn't have, like, the young people now, even the young people that I really admire, that, like, I'm like, oh, this is a great kid. They're not comfortable with, like, this, like what you and I are doing. Like, balancing, how long do I maintain eye contact before I look away? Like, what's appropriate as far as, like, am I going to talk to you like this, or am I like going to talk to you like this? How much do I use my hands? Mainly the eye contact thing I've noticed. Like some of these young people, they communicate like via memes or Snapchat. And then when they spend time together, they'll be near each other, but they don't like turn and face each other and interact. They sit side by side and like share their phone. Like it's just, they're just not comfortable, but they've never been in a world where that's normal, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah. And I've had the same thing. Like there's rhythms to communication and those close relationships, like with your brother, with your parents, with a close friend. I always feel that when I haven't seen someone in a long time, initially like getting back with them and being around them for a little while, you're kind of trying to pick up on, I don't know how I would put words to that, describing like how they communicate and how you and that person kind of get into like I don't know, rhythm, I guess is the only word I can think of.
Yep.
But
Another point that I wanted to make on this too is one of the major challenges I think that we have today in all aspects of our relationships, whether it's communication in marriage, at work, or just in our friendships, is because of technology, life is so noisy. Like there's so much noise in life, and I really do think that that's a huge barrier that we have to overcome, and because we see this in the training that we do, especially we'll use the proving grounds for example. When the team is trying to accomplish a mission, they always fail if there's too many voices, because they can't hear what the leadership actually is trying to get them to do. Like they never actually hear the plan. They just, and I see it as an instructor just standing back, how often teams fail when the environment is just noisy. There's just so much coming at us. And even to add to this idea of our life is way too noisy, it's even noisy in terms of just the amount of phone calls and the constant text messages and you are not created to keep up with that many people. And this constant barrage of direct messages, text messages, phone calls, emails. You're not created to keep up with all that. Like, that's so much noise, man.
For me, that's a huge detriment to the quality of my communication with my close people. It's like you said about when you give a speech, I know it's not the same, but when you, like, communication takes energy from me, especially like actual intentional communication with my team at work or anybody, even people I care about in the gym. Like, I want to engage and listen at a high level because I probably love that person. But yeah, I'm tired. At the end of the day, I don't want to call Grammy and it just takes energy to engage and actually stay locked into a conversation and stay where you actually are listening and engaging. So I didn't think about that, but I think that's a huge part of the degradation of my communication over the last couple of years. Really, my willingness to engage, especially in phone conversations or even get together with people in the evenings. You're just like, ugh, I've been talking all day. Like, holy crap. But back in the day, those people, your core people, your community and your family would have been in your town or village or probably lived with you or right beside you. And those were probably the people you were interacting with throughout the day. You weren't interacting with your CEO and your CFO and your 12 employees that you spend all your time with and Barbara from Publix that friended you on Instagram and now messages you all the time. And, it's just, I think you hit on something huge for me that is really, but there's no solution. Like my brain just said, well, how could you fix that? And I'm like, I don't think you can. Like, I don't think the Lord's going to increase my capacity. And I don't think life is going to slow down.
No, because I think the capacity that you're operating at is again unnatural.
Yeah.
I don't think that you were created to operate at that capacity in terms of just the level of bombardment that so many people listening to this podcast are experiencing that too. It's like but there is a solution to it. It's a total change of lifestyle. Like you have to totally reinvent your lifestyle. But in reality, that is the solution. It's like, I've thought about this so much since we bought this little piece of land and we want to start kind of like a homestead, which by the way, I came up with a name for our farm today.
We're naming our farm?
Yeah.
Isn't that something women do?
No, this is a really cool name.
You're going to tell me?
It's so good.
It doesn't feel like the right time.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel like the right time.
I want to announce it. I don't announce it yet, but it really my goal for that place and what we want to do with that is reinventing our lifestyle and because everyone has the option to do this. You don't need a ton of land to do it. You don't need a ton of space. I mean, you do have to live you can't live in the daggone Arizona desert. Like you do have to kind of be in the right place, but I would say everybody has the option to do this. What I mean by that is everyone has the ability to spend a period of their life working extremely hard and being responsible with their money and their decisions and getting to a place where they're able to reinvent their lifestyle and step out of the noise of our current culture and create a lifestyle for themselves and their families where they don't have to be a part of that when they don't want to be.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to create this lifestyle for us so that I can quit working at 3 of 7 Project and quit training and instructing and podcasting and all that. I still want to do all that stuff, but I want to have a place where when I get home, or one day when I do decide to just retire per se, whatever that looks like for me, like I want to have a place where all that stuff, I don't have to deal with all that stuff,
Yeah.
So I think that's ultimately the only answer. It's just there's no easy way to reinvent your lifestyle, really.
Yeah, and I could totally see where I think for me it could almost be like a numbers game of like, say I didn't work. So I don't have my 4 employees and my 16 vendors that I manage. They go out of the picture of my daily, weekly phone calls. I would naturally have more time for Grammy and more time to call. Like, I think that would 100% work.
Yeah, but to not work requires you a season of your life where you have to work really hard,
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're still working, but
it's like
we got a couple more decades left.
And I think on this same note, again, another big hurdle that we have is not only the noise, but the exhaustion that it creates in some of us. Which, by the way, I do also want to mention, because we have Courtney sitting in here producing the show, some people manage this way better than others. Like, some people thrive on talking back and forth to people and collaborating and networking. I mean, I have friends, Chad Robichaux's one.
Yeah.
That's what they dude, if they could talk to 100 people a day, like at the end of the day, their cup is full. They can make all these connections. So I guess we should say
Kelsey's like that too.
We're coming at this from our angle, the way we experience
like
it. Well, she, yeah, yeah, okay. um, I think for us, another huge obstacle that plays right alongside the exhaustion that's created by these unrealistic expectations for communication is the fatigue that creates. And then what happens at the end of the day is we choose just to go into this vegetative state where it's like, leave me alone. I'm just going to either sit here and watch TV or scroll Instagram or Facebook Marketplace. It's like, don't talk to me anymore. And I think about that in our marriage so much. It's like, how many evenings are you and I both exhausted? Yesterday morning, we woke up and by like 8 a.m., we're both on the phone and making calls and working. And for a lot of people, that's you're on the phone by 6 a.m. for a lot of you guys. And the end of the day, you're exhausted. And then we're sitting around in the evening, and instead of us talking to each other about the child we're about to have, what needs to be done with that, collaborating, sharing maybe things we're struggling with each other so we can come alongside each other and help each other out better. It's like, no, you just go into this vegetative state and everyone's just silent for the rest of the evening because you're just overwhelmed. It's like we choose the social media and the distractions when we're exhausted at the end of the day. And you remember when we were young, what everybody did in the evenings?
Sat on the porch.
We sat on the daggone front porch and we talked and we laughed and we shared each other's struggles and fears and dreams. And that's what we did in the evenings. Like, as soon as dinner was over, we sat on the dang front porch until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Your mom facilitated that environment, though. That was all, like, she deserves the credit for that. But I agree. It was so special and fun.
Yeah, I mean, think about the depth of relationship that comes. That stuff really, it just really doesn't happen anymore.
And
because we choose the distractions.
The growth that comes from, because I think whether people realize it or not, like every interaction, especially when you're a young person without a cell phone or without any kind of device or television, you're building your communication skills, whether it's a bad interaction or a good interaction. And so, like, when you say that, I think about us at Red Mountain Road, all on the porch, and like how much we probably learned from each other about just like cutting up. Like, our big thing was cutting up. Like, we used to get violent on that porch too. And you just learn like things like, oh, I took it too far. How far can I push? And like, am I funny? Is that funny? Is that appropriate? Like, you just get to learn those things naturally in those environments. And I don't think people, the young folk these days, I don't think they're not naturally learning those parameters. Like, they don't know.
And I also think the older people who do know have or are losing that ability. I'll speak for myself. Okay. When we go on hunting trips and we're out of cell phone service and it's just me and the guys, it takes me about a day or a day and a half to adjust to that. Like to readjust to like, oh no, we're just here together and we hunted this morning and we're not going out again until this evening. And we're just here together. And like the only thing to do is for us to just talk to each other and laugh and do that. Like, it takes me a pretty good period of time to kind of get back into that mode. It's a different mode.
Like, get comfortable with it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you keep finding yourself like, oh, what? I need to reach for this or that, or I need to send this or text so-and-so. It takes a minute, yeah. So, all right. Well, all of that being said, identifying those difficulties and all this, I think for the next part of our conversation, I want to go into this and just talk about some specific lessons learned that we've had as far as communication in marriage, things that have worked for us. I have some examples of things that have worked in the past. Also in the workplace, obviously, I lead a team here at 307 Project. You lead a team at your job. What has worked, what hasn't worked, what's been challenging in terms of communication in the workplace. And then as far as friendships and relationships, that's one of my weaknesses, but something that you're super strong at is maintaining relationships, friendships, and interaction with people who are within your inner circle, right? And I want to really break that down and share some actionable things with people on this next half. But let's take a break.
Can we also hit what we were talking about yesterday, where like the things that are really challenging for us when we're communicating, like the things people do that are just hard?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you didn't list that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Look, guys, I truly believe that Mountain Tough is the most valuable resource for people who know they need to get their butts in shape, or for athletes who are ready to take their fitness to the next level. We waste a lot of time working out, not doing the right things, and this Mountain Tough app is going to help clear all of that up for you guys. Make sure that you are following a program that's tailored to you and your goals. It's going to just give you everything that you need on a daily basis in order to dial your fitness in. This Mountain Tough app has different programming for all different levels of fitness, whether you're a beginner, whether you're intermediate and you're just looking to go to the next level, and even for elite level athletes, there's going to be programming in here specifically for them that's going to push them really, really hard. So there's tons of stuff in here. Everything from at-home and gym programs. There's programs that you can follow in the Mountain Tough app that don't require a ton of equipment, some that are heavy on equipment if you're going to work out in a gym. It has a component in the app that is groundbreaking mental toughness training, because mindset is a huge part of being able to push and get the most out of your time when you're working out. This Mountain Tough is actually a Christian-rooted company, all right? I know the founder of this company, Dustin, and he is very passionate about his faith in Christ. That means a lot to me. So part of this app, there is a daily guided prayer for you guys, biometrical form coaching, stretching, mobility, nutrition guidance on the app, challenge workouts, and you also have access to a global Mountain Tough community through membership on the app here. So it's an unbelievable resource, and I'm so thankful that Mountain Tough has created this, because I truly believe in the impact that is being made and can be made through this type of work and this type of resource on the Mountain Tough app. Mountain Tough is offering listeners of the 3 of 7 podcast a pretty dang good offer. If you'll enter code 3 of 7 on the monthly plan, you will receive your first month free after your 14-day trial. So that's 6 weeks free to figure out how to use this app, to make sure that it's for you. And I'm telling you, you're going to find something in here that's going to be very beneficial, probably more than just one thing. So that's 6 weeks free on the best-in-class physical, fitness, and mental training app that is on the market today. And again, it's really, really important to me that this is a company who has Christian roots, and the fact that they add this prayer in here and the mental toughness aspect and all the different components that you guys need to be engaging in to stay healthy, to grow, and to get after it, whatever your next challenge is, whether it's a hunt or an ultra marathon, or if you just want to be fit and healthy so that you can, give the most that you can possibly give to the people around you who matter, like your family and your kids and your teams at work. This is going to be a great place to go to help guide you through that journey, man. Check them out. The website is MTNTOUGH.com, and all of the information for this, including a promo link, a clickable link, will be in the description of this episode. So thank you, Mountain Tough, for everything that you're doing for the community that you've built, and hopefully you guys go and check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you guys about American financing today, and hold tight. You might want to hear this, especially if you have some credit card debt. I've had credit card debt before. There was a time back when I was in the military that I had over $10,000 of credit card debt. I'll never forget what that felt like, because the interest rates on that debt were 20% or more. And I'll never forget feeling like, how on earth am I ever going to pay this off? Crazy stuff happens in life. Emergencies, the cost of living's going up. Maybe you've gotten yourself in a bind just using these credit cards to pay for your day-to-day expenses. That's where American Financing comes in. They can actually help you get rid of that credit card debt by tapping into your home equity. If you are a homeowner with mortgage rates currently in the 5s, and that's going to replace that huge interest rate that you're paying on those credit cards, all right? So it's a pretty awesome service. On average, American Financing is saving their customers about $800 a month. That's nearly $10,000 a year back into your own pocket. I don't know who wouldn't want to save $10,000 a year, especially when it's coming from money that you're throwing at these high-interest credit card loans that you're never going to see a return on that stuff. It's just disappearing. So this is huge, guys. It only takes about 10 minutes to find out what you can save. There are no upfront costs, fees, and no obligations to talk to a salary-based mortgage consultant. If you check it out now, you could potentially delay 2 mortgage payments. Super easy, super smooth. If you got credit card debt, you should check out American Financing. You can give them a call at 866-886-9262. That's 866-886-9262. Or you can check them out online at americanfinancing.net/3 of 7. All of that will be linked in the description of this episode. I hope this helps one of you guys out. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks, American Financing, for providing awesome service. Enough said. All right, look, guys, I have bought a lot of houses in my life, living the military lifestyle, constantly moving, even getting back here to Georgia, figuring out where I wanted to settle in. I don't even know how many I'm up to now. And I have spent many hours searching for houses on this cell phone right here. Recently found out that there is a better tool to search for houses, all right? And this tool is actually for buyers, sellers, or real estate agents. It's called ezHomeSearch, and the fundamental difference between ezHomeSearch and your most common home search tools like Zillow or Realtor is that ezHomeSearch is not selling your information to the highest bidder, all right? You're able to use this thing, and when you're ready, it's going to help connect you as a buyer, if that's you, with a vetted local expert on your terms. You're not going to get a bunch of junk mail, a bunch of people reaching out to you, and you don't even want that crap. You're not even ready for that, right? This thing is laid out really well. It's super easy. I've downloaded the app. It's the app that I use because I'm constantly watching real estate in my area anyways. Literally one click to download it. You open it up. It's right ready to go. You got the map version. You got the list. You got a place to build your profile out, filter your results, you name it. It's all there. Super easy. And again, they're not selling your information to the highest bidder. They're going to connect you when you're ready to do so. If you're a real estate agent, if you want to partner with ezHomeSearch, it is going to give you county level exclusivity, meaning that all buyer and seller leads in a given county are delivered to one real estate team or company. That's going to give you as an agent a significant advantage in a crowded market. All right. If you're a buyer, again, when you're ready, this app is going to help connect you with a vetted local real estate expert. So you know you're actually getting with somebody who you can check out, who you can see before you have a conversation with them, and who's actually in your local area and is going to be able to help you out. It's approaching coverage in over 220 MLSs across North America. And for you guys who are real estate agents who want to partner with ezHomeSearch, it's built by the same team behind SureSend CRM, which you guys will hear about later on, so that agents using both of these networks can get a seamless pipeline from the first home search to the closed deal. Pretty cool tool right here for me personally. I'm always checking on what's for sale, where deals are at, and I just love the fact that they're not taking and selling my information, and that they're putting me in control of any communication that comes from something that I see that I want to buy. You guys check them out and learn more at ezHomeSearch.com, or go and download the app. Again, super easy, no cost, easy to set up. Download it, get right to using it. I think you're going to enjoy it. Thank you guys. Check them out again at ezHomeSearch.com. Download the app. Enough said. That was quite the sit, Boogie.
Are we back on?
Yeah, we're back on.
Can I say something really quick? I can't breathe. So I keep thinking, I don't know if Courtney, you saw me, I keep like thinking, oh shoot, and I like move my mouth over here. Cause I'm like, probably sound like Darth Vader, and I don't have headphones. We don't do headphones anymore. So if I'm on here making like some awful noises, I'm just apologize in advance. This kid's like he's in my upper regions today, and I can't breathe.
Mashing on your lungs.
Yeah, I'll make this quick because I know you're going to get annoyed. I just left a doctor's appointment, and when I got in there, they said we're going to do a strep test. And I was like, why are they testing me for strep? And they had a Q-tip in a little vial on the thing, and this was after blood work and an ultrasound. And she's like, you have to get undressed. And I was like, okay, they're going to stick that Q-tip, in my nether regions, right? And I was like, that's fine. I'm used to that. Like, whatever. I'm sitting there. She goes down through my lady parts and into my bum with that Q-tip. And I was like, what is happening right now?
I would have asked them first, like, what are y'all planning on doing with that?
You just assume. So there's and so after she did that, I was like, Tanya, what is this for? And she said there's some kind of bacteria that you can carry that you don't know about called strep B. Has nothing to do with this strep. And you can have it on your bum hole. And did you know this? I don't can we get a manual? Like, I felt like a cow. Like, people are always sticking stuff in cows' anuses. And I was just like, what is happening to me right now?
That's what happens when you go to them doctors. They're going to want to poke you and prod you. They'll find something wrong with you, too. I mean, every time you go to the doctor for a 5-year physical, they're going to find something wrong with you.
What would you do if a doctor put a Q-tip up your butt?
Well, first of all, if they are asking or telling me I'm about to have a test done, I'm going to say, what does this involve?
Well, they told me it's a strep B, and I think it is my fault. Indeed, it is my fault for not saying what exactly are you going to do with that Q-tip. But I think she thought when she said strep B, I said, oh, okay. She thought that like registered. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I know what you're about to do.
Yeah, no, I don't let these doctors do whatever they want to. But I mean, I'm not in your position. You're going, you're doing the doctor thing on the reg.
Well, yeah, I don't normally go to the doctor. But
when I go to the doctor, I'm going to ask why. You got to make me understand, why you want to do this. Because if I think it's unnecessary, I'm not playing your doctor games.
Your moral of the story is when you get pregnant, you just lose all of your dignity and like I'm a different person now, like after today, probably after birth, I'm going to be different. Like
That's a good word for our one female listener who's never been pregnant.
The demographic of this podcast is like 45 to 55-year-old white male.
Yeah.
And they're all like, ew, why are they talking about this right now? Why is she saying all that gross stuff? Can they get back on with the podcast? All right, I'm shutting up now. I'm done.
No, you had to share some kind of story about doo-doo or farts or private parts.
It was 100% what exactly happened with my morning.
You wouldn't be you if you wouldn't have shared that. It wouldn't be you on the podcast. If we would have done this whole podcast on farts, you would have been 10 times happier about the conversation.
Farts. I'm over it. I've moved on. I have new humor items.
Okay.
Yeah. However, you should tell the shower fart story eventually.
See, you're not over it.
That's one really good story.
See, you're not over it. You're definitely not over it. Oh, okay. We'll get back to the topic at hand then.
Okay, sounds good.
Communication. You know what? You know another thing? The white male listeners hate it when you mock me or sound disrespectful on the podcast to me.
I know.
They absolutely hate it.
Yeah, they get upset. They say things like, gosh, Chad's got one on his hands, or she must be difficult or something.
I made a comment yesterday about women in the church, and I said, you know, there are even some examples in Scripture of where women had a leadership role in the church. And we were talking about a specific figure in Acts that we'll get to on Monday meeting. But there's so many comments from men on that video about that specific line. You better be careful about saying women should have leadership in any form in a church. And, you know, that's not in the Bible and all this. And I'm like, dude, who runs your childcare thing at your church? Like,
how about who runs your household?
Yeah, it's like it's just crazy, man. People just don't get it, man.
They don't get it. And we can shut this down after this. But I have to say, the same men that get intimidated, therefore they get defensive about strong women, like what they're asking for is a submissive woman that is not independent, that can't run a household and can't be like, I can't be that person. You were in the military. I was alone all the time. Like, all the hobbies I have are very dynamic. You don't want that type of female that's very reliant on you for emotional and physical support. And that's not what you want. That's not what most men want. But they also don't want to be challenged. And like, I'm sorry, bud, you can't have both. Like, you can't choose a really smart, strong, independent woman and in turn not be challenged. You just got to learn when the challenge is disrespectful and an issue within your marriage, and when you're just wrong and you're just upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, you ought to figure out that females have been uniquely created to be better than you as a man at a whole lineup, a whole spectrum of things. And if you're smart, you'll put them in charge of those things. Like, you won't have no problem with that. Like, nope, you are uniquely created to do. You're really good at this, and I suck at it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in charge of that.
Also, Dan that gets pissed about that stuff. Dan is the hypothetical 50-year-old white male listening to this podcast who's going to be like, Brooke is so disrespectful. He's probably divorced, or he never got married in the first place, and he's sitting in front of his computer in his PJs eating Cheetos after he got done playing video games. So, like, piss off, Dan. You know what I mean?
Poor guy.
Just saying.
I'm saying you're communicating some mean things right now, Boo Boo.
But it's a hypothetical person, so there's no victim. You know what I mean? It's fine.
Yeah, so we'll start off with our marriage then. And the big thing that I had on this coming from me was, I remember a time when you were going through a really difficult season, and I remember something specifically that worked for us, but we had to be really intentional about doing it. And this is just a tool that I'll share with you guys that we used. You were going through a really hard season.
Which one?
Yeah. The most recent one.
Okay.
And I remember for probably 3 months straight, 2 or 3 months straight, we would take a walk every evening after the day was done, and we would like intentionally check in with each other on what was going on. Like what's going on in your head today? What is it that you're struggling with? So we go on walks all the time, but most of the time we are either just quiet or we're just having small talk, right? But during that hard season, we kind of forced each other to talk about things that mattered during that time together. And as far as communication in marriage, I just think it sounds really simple, but it's hard. It's really hard to do, especially when everything's not good.
Yep.
Is you have to set aside time, and hopefully you can kind of pair that time with something that you guys both like doing. For us, that's walking. For you and your wife, maybe it's fishing or cooking or rollerblading or whatever the crap it is you guys like to do. But like set aside that time, pair it with something that you both enjoy doing to some degree, and then force yourselves to have deeper than surface level conversation about whatever it is that you guys are struggling with, and that's really creating that difficulty that you're experiencing at that point in your marriage together. I thought that was just a super powerful tool that we used revolving around communication in our marriage.
Yeah, that was huge for me. Because I know we're starting to get into it, but one of my personal struggles with communication within a marriage or any really close relationship, I do the same thing with some of my friends, is being uncomfortable with being like ultra vulnerable, or like if I am really struggling, I'll wait till it's like bad before I start talking about it because I don't want to be the one who's struggling, or asking for what I need. Because I don't want to be needy. I want to be the person who's helpful. So that time, and that was your idea. I remember that time was valuable. And most days I did not look forward to it because it made me really uncomfortable, even though you're my favorite person on this planet. And I'm more comfortable talking to you than anybody else. Like, yeah, that type of communication when you're in a slump, and I think you're like this too. When I'm struggling, when I'm sad, mad, tired, you mentioned this earlier, I don't want to talk. I just want to be quiet or veg out primarily. Mm-hmm. So like those times that you set aside, it was challenging to keep that up. And sometimes it was challenging to get started when we would start walking, of like, okay, today's really hard, and like, not feeling like a failure if you share honestly about exactly what's happening. And then to receive whatever came from you, which was honest as well, of like, sometimes I will put myself out there and say, like, I'll get the courage up and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to tell him today's awful. Like, today's been really hard. And sometimes selfishly, I would love for you to come back and be like, I'm in a great place. And then like, I can kind of breathe because I'm like, oh, he can care for me. But sometimes it's hard for me mentally when we're both not in a good place. But that's just reality. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be upset about that.
Yeah. I think that time that we spent together during that hard season was always fruitful.
Mm-hmm. Even
Like,
if it was,
even if it didn't end well,
Mm-hmm.
like even if it ended in, crying or, argument or whatever, it was always, I think, ultimately fruitful.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think an important thing about that specific thing too is somebody has to initiate the conversation if you're going to set aside that time and you're really interested in solving whatever the problem is together. Like, somebody has to initiate it. And but that being said, how do you initiate those hard conversations with your spouse? I know it's different for everybody, kind of ticks differently, but
I think something that I've learned, like along those lines with you and I, that I've used a lot and I find to work great for us is reading where you and I both are. If it's a hard conversation, like say we've gotten in a disagreement and we haven't resolved it and it's kind of hanging, but I can feel both of our energy is like not lining up. And a lot of times you want to resolve it in the midst of both of us are emotional. We just realized that we don't agree and we just got done debating, realizing that we're not going to come to an agreement. And you will chase it. And you'll concede, but I'll say, like, hey, I need some time. Like, can I have a little bit of time to calm down and then we can revisit this? Like, I think that's worked really, really well for like initiating those conversations of like reading myself. Am I in a position to actually listen to you? Or am I in a position where the moment you start talking, I'm going to be mentally preparing my response because I'm pissed off and I want to make sure you're not right? Does that make sense?
yeah.
And so for me, like that initiating, if I'm the one doing it, it's like, what's our environment like? What kind of state am I in? What kind of state do I think you're in? And that's how I feel like we've been successful. Yeah.
So timing
Timing
is important. I would say too, thinking about this, you should never initiate a hard conversation with your spouse with advice. Like,
Oof.
never initiate that conversation with advice.
That was going to be one of my favorite topic that we're going to hit is like no-nos that we've experienced with people. That doesn't go well for anyone.
Yeah, but you would be surprised at how often people do it.
Everybody does it.
Yeah.
I do it.
How often I've done it too, yeah.
I think the other day we were walking and you were telling me something about, maybe it was work. And I just started going on. And then I remember stopping and being like, oh crap. I started to give you advice on this and all you wanted me to do is listen. I was like, I'm going to stop that right now. Like, it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't start with that. Or maybe just leave the advice out altogether unless it's asked for.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of situations where that's true, especially in marriage. Like, especially when you would, during those talks, when you would share whatever your that biggest struggle that day was for you, a lot of times the only response that I needed to give was, dang, that sounds like it sucks. Like, or that sucks. You know what I mean? Instead of responding with some sort of advice that I thought I could give you to help solve that problem.
Yeah, that's so good. You do this thing with advice where you'll say, a lot of times you'll say, can I give you some advice on that? And like I've said no. But like when you say that, I think the unwarranted advice is what hits people hard. But if someone asks permission of like, can I give you some advice on that? And it's your decision to hear it, it just hits so different.
Yeah.
than somebody just spitting off telling you what you should do in this situation, you know?
Yeah. And then I think too, something else I thought about on this is don't ask like when you're trying to initiate a hard conversation with your spouse, don't ask some or trying to solve a problem like the problem we were struggling with. Don't ask some broad question like, well, how do you feel today?
Yeah.
I already knew the answer to that question, but it's so tempting just to ask that question. Well, how do you feel today? It's like, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
Like that's the answer to that question.
Oh, you know what the best is for me in those scenarios? And this goes for a marriage, but this also goes for like close friendships and relationships. If you want to ask someone how they are, and you don't want to just be like, how you feeling? How you good? How you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Grab something that they've told you recently that was hard. Or just anything that it's like if you give people, especially your wife, especially me, if you give people a window of like, hey, I've been listening to you and that's why I'm coming here following up. Like, I know yesterday was hard because of X, Y, and Z. Has that changed today? Like, and even strangers, like if you go to the grocery store and you remember old Becky's grandma just celebrated her 100th birthday, and you can start with that and you let people know that you remembered something they told you, and then you segue into your random, so how you doing today? Like, people just, it just changes it.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, you would do that a lot. You would reference like, hey, I know you told me blank. So has that improved or how? And it would just be an opening to a conversation. But gosh, it means so much when you know people actually heard and internalized what you said.
Yeah, care enough to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's just a whole myriad of other questions that you could ask that are so much more specific than, well, how are you doing today? Or how do you feel today? It's like, no, like, hey, what are you afraid of? Or what do you need help with? Or like a more, or how can I help you? Like a more specific question about, a more specific question that's going to lead to some sort of direction towards a solution and not just an obvious answer. Mm-hmm. Like we're setting aside this time because we're struggling. I feel like crap. Okay. Yeah, well, I already knew that. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So just think about that, I think.
Yeah. And for the men especially, I think men tend to be, everybody can be on the spectrum, men more so the problem solvers, the fixers, like I felt, and you can tell me what you think, but I felt like that time in those hard seasons where we set aside that time to connect on how we were doing, it wasn't a time to problem solve. And it wasn't a time, like you said, like even if you knew my problem and you saw the patterns that I was engaging in and you knew like some healthy solutions, you knew that space needed to be protected. So it wasn't well, here's what I think you can do to make tomorrow better, or let me give you some feedback on what I saw you do today that like I really think I could help you with. Like it never had those tones. It was literally like let's check in on a deep level and then let's just let it be what it is. And like that space, if especially like I think especially as a husband, if you can provide that for your wife, where there is no advice, there is no pull, and like you're not putting that energy into like, oh, we need to fix this. It's just so much better. So much better.
Yeah.
There's a fly.
I know that thing is
thing
is tearing you up.
It wants to get inside my mouth.
That thing is tearing you up, man. Another challenging part of communication in our marriage for me personally is there are days when you want me
I know what you're gonna say.
to know what you want.
I was gonna bring this up. To
me, that is a barrier of communication for a woman.
We should. I feel like this is a very universal. I don't know. I'm gonna like look at Courtney a couple times to see if she has this struggle.
I get why women want that because
it's what we do.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But also, if someone anticipates what you want or, anticipates your desires, there is a part of that makes you feel special. Like, oh, okay, my needs were at the forefront of my husband's mind. But men are thinking about many other things because we run the world.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Men are thinking about many other things like survival and protection and
guns,
hunting,
and trucks, and
yes,
food, and
yeah. So we don't have time to anticipate or think about ahead of time what you want. So this is my tip for communication in marriage for our 3 female listeners. Tell your husband what you want.
Oh.
That fly just punched you in the eye.
Wow.
Kill that thing. It's on your sleeve. Kill it.
Oh.
That thing deserved to die.
It was aggressive. He must be thirsty.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead and give the advice to the women, and then I'll follow up on.
No, I'm done. I mean so for me, one of the things that you've done to help tremendously with this, although you still slip into your days or half days or something where you're like, I just want you to know what I want.
It's not what I want. It's usually what needs to get done. And again, I'm going to be so outnumbered. The 3 women listening to this are like, yes.
One of the things that you have done for me to help our communication in our marriage is you make lists for me. You notify me of the list. It's posted in a public space. It's typed out with bullet points. And you give me a date that I must have the list completed. And then you remind me of the existence of the list at intervals over the time span between when the list is posted and when the list needs to be completed.
Usually like a daily reminder.
Helps me tremendously. I'm just like, this is so much simpler. Okay, I have here, I know this is what needs to be done. This is what's going to make Biscuit happy. Look, I know when I have to have it done by. It makes things so much easier.
Did you hear, though, how much I have to do to get you to do those things?
Hey, communication is work.
But you don't have to do that. Like, I take care of all of our finances and taxes. You don't have to make lists for me. You don't have to remind me. You don't have to you don't have to do that with anything. Our food, our groceries, our farm box, keeping up. Well, now that I've been pregnant, weird like brain stuff, you have stepped up and helped me a lot. But yes, circling back before I diverge on that, I agree it is a problem when it's things that I want or need from you. And I do that. I still do it. It's when I'm grumpy or really tired. And I will, like, a great example that happens all the time is and it's intensified since I've been pregnant. I will be cooking dinner and we both will have worked all day. And I have this toxic running tally of what I've done. And like, I've already fed the dogs. I took the dogs on a walk and took a break from work, and you didn't. And I think I've done more than you that day. And
that's a Millerism, by the way.
It is. It comes from my dad. And I'm good. I'm pretty good about not listening to that. But here, this is the picture. I'm in the kitchen the way Chad and I cook, dinner on average takes 45 minutes to an hour to make. Not to eat, to make, because we use fresh food and we cook everything from scratch.
And usually have to pick it.
Correct. So I'm in the kitchen, and like starting at 15 minutes, I notice that he's in the recliner, feet up, watching YouTube or something. Who knows what he's doing? And like, my first thought is, maybe he'll offer to help me. And like at that moment, the correct thing to do would be, babe, I'm tired. Will you please come help me make dinner? The bad part of me that shows up maybe like once every other week is like, I'm not going to tell him, and I'm going to see if he figures it out.
See, and that's like, a lack of communication. Because if you would, don't look, and let me tell you how to communicate in marriage too, in this specific scenario. Don't tell me, get up, will you please get up and help me? No, you need to say, will you please get up, grate the cheese, cut the avocados, pick the lettuce. You do these things, okay? This is what I mean by helping me.
This just makes me tired, though. It just makes me tired. Okay, let me hit this point, and then I want to go to my like kind of rebuttal to this. Yes, in those instances, the one I was just drawing out, instead of what will happen on my bad day is I won't ask you, and I'll build. Like every 10 minutes, the intensity of my resentment. Like, and I want to go flip you out of the recliner and be like, you lazy piece of crap. I'm pregnant and exhausted, and you're going to let me spend an hour on my feet after I told you my back hurt and blah, blah, blah. And then by the time I serve dinner, I'm mad. Normally I can get over it on my own and you won't even know I did that. But if I'm having a bad day, it'll come out sideways later on something else. That's a problem. That's a me problem. That's a communication problem. What you're saying about the men-women situation and like example, our baby list, like the mental load that women have to carry, because what you said is she comes up with what needs to be done. She puts it on writing. She goes to the computer. She puts it on the computer. She prints it out. She posts it. She tell me where she posted it 6 times because the first 5 times I forget where she put it, and I say, "Where's that list again?" And then the reminders of like, "Hey, I know you planned this turkey hunting trip. Just a reminder, April 20th, like I could have the baby like at any time, so like that stuff needs to get done." And last night I was like, "Hey, if you're going to work on some list stuff this week, will you make sure if you do an item, you complete it thoroughly," which means completing the item in its entirety, getting rid of the trash and evidence of the item, and then putting the item wherever it belongs. And like, you were like, "I do that." And like, you sassed me. And I said, "What about the bed you just put together?" And like, you put all of it together except for the bottom piece, and you said you were going to get to it. And it's been laying on the bed for like 4 weeks. And you were like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And so like that
bottom piece is unimportant.
The mental load of the constant reminders and like, and I know that's just a reality of the way God made women versus men, but men could do better. And you have proved that you can do better, because I have told my friends, and I have told you, I told you the other day that I think I'm going to be like, hopefully we live to 60 or 70. And I swear I'm going to remember this phase of our lives when you took care of me so well. Because you have. You've just done amazing. But guess what you've been doing? You've been anticipating when I need stuff. Like, you recently have started watching me. And if I drop something, or I look like I'm struggling, or even like if I'm looking for something in the car, you'll attune to what I'm doing and go, "What do you need?" Or if you can figure it out ahead of time, you'll just do it. You have never done that before, like ever. So you're capable of it. There just has to be some kind of circumstance where your brain says, "All right, I have to show up." But yeah, I just think it's unfair, the men-women responsibilities. And the question I would pose that I don't know the answer to, men would say, that's biological. We're not wired to manage that many things, and our minds are simple and blah, 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 blah. But is that the case, or is it just a cultural thing that we've created where women are supposed to hold 36,000 million things in their head at all times and literally hold their husband's hand and like pat him on the back as he goes to do the things he needs to do? Like, I think you guys are capable. I know you're capable of a lot more because I've seen it outside of our house when you have to be on.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I see your points there, but I want to circle that thought back to the conversation about the noise, because you talk about women having to hold so many things in their mind and men saying, well, I'm not capable of keeping up with all this crap and all this. Again, I think that is also in a strange way a result of all of the noise, because why do we have to hold so many things in our head? Well, maybe it's part of the reason is because the house we live in is freaking 3,000 square feet. Like, how many extra things have to be cleaned? Like, how many beds do we have? How many daggone pairs of clothes do we have? Like, look at all the crap that we have. So it's almost like what I'm trying to say is maybe neither person is meant to hold that many things in their minds. Maybe the culture has shifted that over to the responsibility of the woman, but even the woman is not created to hold that many things in their mind, because you think of the reality of the human existence for thousands and thousands of years in our specific circumstance. What would the things we would be holding in our mind? You would right now be holding in your mind, I need to keep this baby alive, and I need to keep my husband alive so that my husband can get me food and make sure that an enemy tribe doesn't come in here and murder all of us.
Well, a lot of cultures, the women were responsible for a lot of the food.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe so, like preparing the food and feeding and stuff like that. But in terms of like hunting and protection, it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is the reality of the responsibilities that we place upon ourselves in modern culture. The reality is that so many of those responsibilities have been manufactured by us having things that we don't actually need. And when we boil our responsibilities as husband and wife down to what's actually a necessity, it's a fairly small list of things. Mm-hmm. So I'm not suggesting, and again, the only solution to this goes back to what we said earlier, reinventing your lifestyle. But this is the life that we live right now, so this is the conversation that we're having.
Or you could just be a little bit more resilient. And
yeah,
for
sure. I see your side of that.
This is, I'll be quick. It's a segue away from communication, but you know what happened? You're right. The noise. It is the noise. But we are only a generation away from most women not working. And so it made sense for women to hold all of the household items and lists and to-dos and the groceries and the cooking and the garden and the kids and blah, 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 blah. But what I'm living in is, I also work just as much as you, but I'm still like living in that culture that you and I were grown up in. Well, your mom worked, so did my mom, but I just think it's a residual. Like, we haven't made the shift. We're working on it, but we haven't made the shift yet to dividing things more evenly. Now that to make it in this society, both partners mostly have to work.
That is a reality of the way the world is, at least in this country right now. Is a reality.
We're inching towards it though, because like you wash dishes, and a lot of men I know take like night shifts with their infants, and like our dads would have never.
No, I mean my grandfather never changed a diaper. He never cooked a meal. He never washed a single thread of clothing.
Nope.
None of that. He ran their business, made sure they had a home, made sure things were, the their heads were dry and they had power and water and all, all of that stuff. And, so, but that kind of leads into the next point that I wanted to make on communication in marriage. I think one of the really important parts is having clearly defined roles and responsibilities. Which it would be the same if you're running a business or something like that. But I think we do well at that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's like we
Divide
know,
and conquer.
Yeah, we know if there's dishes in the sink in our household, it's become, we've decided it's my job to wash the dishes, right? So having those roles and responsibilities clearly defined, whether or not your wife is working or not, like you still have to have those roles and responsibilities defined, for sure.
Do you think, like, I think back on the ways, really for me, the most growth in our marriage has been in the last 5 years for me. And I think back on like the ways I've changed how I communicate with you. And I think a lot of it, I'm going in a different direction right now, but I think a lot of it is learning over time, like what is just me being a butthole and like having pride issues, and what is me caring for you. Like, you love words of affirmation and you freely give that to me all the time. And it makes me uncomfortable to receive it and to give it. But I started a couple years ago just kind of forcing myself to, because I think about stuff like that all the time. Like, you'll come home from work or I'll hear a podcast, or I even look at you sometimes. I'm like, man, he's so good looking. Oh my gosh, that was such a good podcast. The way you just acted with your nieces was so awesome. The way you handled that. Like, I have those thoughts all the time, but saying them was really challenging for me. And I knew they were important. And so I started forcing myself, and now I feel like I'm comfortable with that. But I feel like the marriage communication thing for us, for me, has been like figuring out what makes you feel loved and like forcing myself to do that until it becomes a pattern. And then it's not about you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. That is an important piece of it that I wouldn't have thought to mention. Well, that's all I had on marriage.
I was telling Chad on the last break, he has gotten really, really good at interviews, and at like your interviews have gotten next level. But I haven't done a podcast with you since you've kind of got into this like really regimented, like telling the listeners like what we're about to talk about, and then hitting the items and like really staying on topic and like trying to make it flow. And I'm like, because you and I used to just get on here and just start freaking rambling on about who knows what, you know? So this feels, it feels good, but it feels clunky to me.
Well, thank you for those words of affirmation, boo.
And you're doing really good. I'm just not used to it.
By the way, this is not a regimented podcast. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, but when I do, I feel like you're kind of like, when I do kind of like spun off from something that you didn't ask me, you'll start like rubbing your hands like this. And then you'll like look down at your phone about like, oh, what's coming next, you know? And I'm like, oh, he doesn't like what I just said. I'm sorry. What's next?
Good night, boo boo. Here you are disrespecting me again in front of the men.
What's your, okay, seriously, like if somebody, if a man, a young man came to you and said, I just got married, I know nothing about women, I am nervous as heck, I'm so in love with my wife, what's one communication tip you would give me? Like, does something pop in your head?
Yeah, I would say listen. Yeah. That would probably be like the one.
I think it's a perfect.
It's the most unnatural thing too, because we're naturally selfish types of beings.
Yeah. Can we tackle what listening means really quick, or do you want to wait till like when we talk about annoying people at the end of the podcast?
No, we can talk about annoying people now.
We can?
Yeah.
How long have we been going for?
I'm not sure.
An hour and a half.
Yeah.
Well, we better talk about annoying people. Well, that's a good start. Are you sure I'm not ruining your flow?
No, you're good.
That listening, like people will literally say to me, "Oh, I'm listening." But like there are so many things people do that make you not feel heard, and they are not listening. Like interrupting is a huge one, but that's an obvious one. But there are so many subtle ones that people do that I'm just like, oh man, like when you're telling somebody a story, especially if you're trying to teach somebody something that you know that you're excited about, people have this insatiable need to know what you're about to tell them, or to like have knowledge on the subject, or to have experienced that before, or to have a cousin who also did that in 2003, and like the best responses I've gotten, especially from people who I'm not close to, but especially two people I'm close to, is like listening means letting someone own it. You have no ownership. You don't need to, relating is different, but you don't need to add to what they say. You don't need to guess what they're about to say. You don't need to like try to relate in a way of like, oh yeah, I've heard of that before. I've seen that before. I've experienced that. Just act like you're interested in what they're saying, which means ask follow-up questions or say things like, whoa, that's neat. Or, wow, I've never heard of that before. Or like people are so incapable of listening in like an open way and not inserting themselves into what's happening.
Yeah. It's definitely something most people have to be conscious of and combat.
Yes.
Actively. And well, I think this definitely leads into the part of communication around how we maintain friendships and relationships, because I think this is the biggest, where that applies, it applies most in this area of our lives, because no one is going to want to be your friend.
It's so true.
If you don't listen, really more than you speak, if you never shut up, essentially, no one's going to want to be your friend. You're not going to be able to have deep, meaningful, long-term relationships with anybody if that's the way you operate.
Yep.
And I'm saying this because I've seen it. I'm not saying it because I'm trying to be mean. Like, hopefully to some people, this is a wake-up call. Like that, okay, that's me. And I'm trying to figure out why why I can't find my people. Like why does it seem like I know, some people and they're surrounded by awesome friends and community, and they have mentors and they have all these awesome friendships that help them kind of navigate life, but I just can't find my people, man. Well, maybe it's because you never shut up. Maybe it's because you don't know how to listen. That's probably plays a big role in it,
And I think I don't know, but I think it's literally a lack of mental discipline. Because you said earlier when I was talking about listening, like it's innate. That's not exactly what you said, but it's what you meant. Like the want to be the one giving the information, to be correct, to correct people, to give advice. Those all feel really good. So to like engage with your people and not do those things it takes discipline. it's not just going to come naturally. You're going to have to start paying attention to how you respond and catching yourself. Like, I don't know about for you, but for me, I have to. Like, if I'm listening to somebody, I'll internally start responding and I'll be like, no, don't say that. You know, like I can't, it's not natural. You get better at it over time, but I don't know. I've never struggled with just incessantly talking too much, but I don't know how people don't see that as a lack of discipline. Like, if you're around a group of people and it's been 3 minutes and you haven't volleyed the conversation to someone else or even allowed space for that, like, I would say there's a lack of discipline. Does that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so I think that should be addressed too. If you go too hard on the other end of this spectrum and you just never say anything and you're just kind of there and you're labeled that kind of quiet person, weird person, like, you're also not going to have good friends.
I would rather hang out with a quiet person though.
Yeah, and I guess I shouldn't. I guess I shouldn't use that as a descriptive term, because I think a lot of people that we value in our lives would be labeled as quiet people. But at the same time, you can't go too hard on this spectrum and be like, oh, I talk way too much. Next time I'm around people, I'm just not going to say anything, because then everybody's going to look at you and be like, what the crap's wrong with you? Like, this dude's no fun to be around. Like, he's adding nothing to the conversation. It is a balance. And even you think about the natural tendency for us humans to want to be heard. It literally starts from the day we're born. People tell us all the time about these stinking babies just crying all the time. Why are they doing that? Because they want to be heard. Like, they're doing that because they got something on their mind and they want everybody to hear them so that they get what they want. So it is hardwired into us, and it's something that we have to be conscious of and fight back against. But I thought you described it really well in terms of having conversation with friends and mentors and people that you're doing life with. You have to, a conversation means being conscious of how long you've been talking versus how much time you've given the other person to also engage in that conversation, and then you listening to what they have to say as part of the conversation. It's what we're doing here. I mean, when on the podcast, I have the tendency to over talk, and I try to be conscious of that on the podcast because this is a conversation, you know, and that's what it needs to look like, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard. I want to like give a lot of advice on this, because this is the over talking thing is one of my personal pet peeves. Like, just when I get around somebody, I think it's because I really like listening to people. So I can't, some people are like, well, just tune so-and-so out. And I'm like, I can't. I'm either engaged or I'm not. So like, I let myself be held hostage by these people who just go on and on and on and on and on. And so I just feel so strongly about that. Or the other one that gets me so much is the people that feel challenged by anybody else's information or input. Like, the insecurity is just oozing out of them and they don't realize it. And like, you can't have a conversation with them without them kind of sifting through. And again, this is just me guessing, but it seems like, I'm trying to think of a good example to use.
It's hard to bring up examples because these are people that a lot of these examples are people that we do life with who will probably listen to the podcast, potentially.
Well, not this example. It's like acquaintances for me.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them of like, you're just having a conversation and talking about things, and they're wanting to make sure they stay at the top of the conversation as the person who's providing the most information, the best stories, the best feedback. I don't know. I wish I could word it better. And then the people that don't listen, the people that do all the talking, but then when it's your turn to talk, they just have checked out, and you're just like, dude, I just listened to you talk for 5 freaking minutes straight, asked follow-up questions, like genuinely got interested. And then you got distracted by the gas station that we just passed on the road. And like, you don't care about anything I have to say.
Yeah.
That is so hard. And I think it just goes both ways, is like, this is my judgmental mind and I'm admitting this. When that happens to me, whether it be someone close to me or just an acquaintance, I think they lack self-awareness and they lack self-discipline. It's just what I think. I do judge them a little bit. I'm just like, dang, man. Like,
it is a discipline thing, really. It is a lot of it is a mental discipline.
Well, because it's an indulgence. It's an indulgence to get to be the one who's right, or to get to be the one who gives all the good information, or to get to be the one in a group who tells the best story, or even getting to talk where everyone is actually paying attention to you. It's an indulgence. Like, it's enjoyable, So I think some people just don't know. Like, some people overeat. I think some people just don't know how to harness that part of, social interactions and communication. But God freaking butters my biscuits so bad. Because like you and Courtney were talking about.
You want your biscuit buttered, boo-boo.
Like you and Courtney were talking about earlier. Y'all were talking about how when you guys talk on the phone about work-related stuff, it is like, what do you need? Okay, here's the 2 questions I have. All right, sounds good. Thanks, bye. Man, that is like, obviously if I'm calling my grandma or my mom or my dad, it's not like that. But like, if you are in contractors are like the best example of this, or fishing guides, but that's a different. Contractors, you're in a professional relationship. I have hired you to mow my lawn. I have hired you to install this or build that. And they just want to hold you hostage, telling you all about what they did in 1972, and they played all-star football in Texas, and And I'm like, how do you not realize how inappropriate this is? Like, this is a professional relationship. You have a lot of things to do for me. And like, I'll even appear busy. I'll be doing that like body language thing where like you turn halfway and you start to like shift your feet and you're taking little steps back. And there's like, these folks don't even see me. They don't even like notice that I'm like, shut up. But.
Well, that was one of my main points for communication in the workplace.
Be efficient.
Economy of words.
You know who taught me that? Do you know?
Mm-mm.
Jesse Itzler said something to you and I one time about that. It was something about like, say what you need to say in a professional environment with as little words, as concise as humanly possible. And I try to do that every time I communicate. Well, my poor guys at work, they get text messages. That's a personal problem that are very descriptive. But most of it's because they're a man and they need the little details or they won't do it the way I'm asking. So maybe I'm halfway good at that. But Jesse inspired me with that.
Yeah, I think it's super important in the workplace, because like in the workplace is different than friendship. It's different than marriage. Like in the workplace, we're trying to get a job accomplished. And so I think that's why economy of words is so much more important there, because time in the workplace is money. And we're trying to get a mission accomplished. And I think that specific area, that economy of words, is the most important. I think it should also play into, other conversations even outside the workplace, but it's not near as important. Yeah. And when this happens too, I've had the same experience, especially with contractors and people we're hiring to do work. I'm like, another thing that it makes me think is these people must not be that busy. Like, which then goes on to make you think, are they even really good at what they do? Mm-hmm. Because if they were good at what they do, they will be busy. And if they're busy, they wouldn't have time for me to spend 30 minutes telling me about the history of their life.
Right.
When all I'm trying to get you to do is dig a dang ditch in the yard.
Right.
You know?
But where does, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, for a business owner who is, you know, talking to customers, think about how your communication affects the customer's perspective of you and your company and your ability to do the job as it pertains to the economy of words, like your long-windedness with a customer. You may think that seems like a good thing, like that's good for customer relations.
Like I'm friendly.
Yeah, it may. Yeah, you may think that comes off as friendly, and that could be the case if you're talking to a 70-year-old man who's retired and he's hired you to cut his grass because he's elderly and he can't do it anymore. And yeah, man, that dude might want to talk to you about your lawnmower. He might. So just, I guess what I'm saying is have some discretion around that. Because one of my friends, Andy, said something one time on this. He said, busy people understand busy people. Mm. And that's true.
Yep. 100%. The contractors. Do you remember that time we had that guy up top and we were walking around and he would not shut up to even let me talk about the job?
Unbelievable.
Do you remember I said, do you ever stop talking?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I literally lost my cool and I looked at him and I was like, do you ever stop talking? Because it seemed like he was on drugs or something. And I remember he just kind of looked at me like, did you just say that to me? And I never heard from him again. But
complete lack of self-awareness.
We couldn't even talk about the job.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's yeah. And do you think, okay, so do you think the people listening to this podcast right now know who they are if they're that type of person? Or do you think they don't realize it?
I think that some people, maybe there's not a lot of hope for them, except for maybe things and situations that are much more intimate and intense than a podcast, right? I think the people that can benefit from this conversation are business owners who are already pretty good at what they're doing, and they hear this and they say, yeah, you know what? There probably are times that I'm a little bit long-winded and I ought to, tighten that up and have a little better economy of words, because that does affect how the customer sees me. But obviously people who have zero self-awareness of this, they would probably agree with what we're saying and at the same time not even realize they're the people who are doing it.
100%. No, we have people like that are like, oh, you get around so-and-so, they never shut up. And I look at them, I'm like, what? How are you're saying that? And then you, like you said, you do realize that oh, I've even told him and he doesn't know. He thinks that oh God. Mm-hmm. On that note,
can't help everyone.
No, I also would love to come up with a litmus test for people to use on themselves to find out if they are that person, but I don't even know what that would look like. Maybe when you start a conversation, you start a timer on your watch. And if you're the only one talking without breaking for more than, what do you say, 3 minutes?
Yeah, that's a long time.
Then you need to, there's a little assessment. If you don't ask any questions to the other person through an entire conversation, if there are no questions going out of your mouth,
If you get off the phone and don't remember a single thing that the other person said.
Yes, that's good. Yes, there may be something that you need to practice. But you were saying business owners and like balancing what you're saying about like being the friendly guy. That's an art. Like what we're talking about, like really good communication, especially if you're in a service industry or a contractor, you're selling yourself. It's an art, like balancing being personable enough that people feel comfortable with you, but also not holding them hostage, telling them things about your youth that like they have zero connection to. That's not easy. It's not like something that is just going to like, you're going to make a decision of like, oh, I like, that sounds good, I'm going to start doing that. You know what I mean? It's almost like picking up a new habit or a new skill or something. Like it makes me think about you and I both read that Dale Carnegie book from forever ago, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he's like, it's like 3 principles. And I can't even regurgitate. I think.
No, I read that book probably 15 years ago. And the only thing I took away from that book is talk less, listen more.
Yeah, but yes, I totally agree with that. But I took away, like, he talks about catch people doing something right. Like, he's talking about negative reinforcement rarely does any good. And you mentioned that earlier, but my favorite thing that he said was, like, use people's name. Like, if you're in a conversation with somebody, and instead of saying, like, oh, man, Kristen, that sounds crazy. Little stuff, like, if you just slip people's name in there.
There's some weird psychology behind that.
People love their name.
Yeah.
Old Dale talked about that.
They do. One of the things that you asked me yesterday when we were talking about this show is when we are discussing these kind of techniques of communication and asking questions and listening and all that, is that manipulative? And see, that sounds negative to say that you're doing these things in order to manipulate the person. That sounds like a negative thing. But in reality, if you're utilizing these simple things like talk less, listen more, economy of words, really think about how you're going to make a connection with this person. Don't just tell them all about yourself and the things you like. Engage them on things that they like and you see that they, are engaged with in their own personal lives. It is manipulation. Like, that's how you gain a customer. In friendship and in marriage, no, it's not manipulation, because you ought to genuinely care about the person you're married to or the friend that you're in a relationship with.
Amen.
So at that point, it's not manipulation, but in the workplace, yes, it is indeed. And you can say that's bad all you want, but to me, that's just good business.
I 100% agree and love that statement. Like, I think I learned at a young age how to people please, like how to read people and anticipate like what they're going to want to hear. And I think like when I was a drug addict, I used that in a malicious way, like a manipulative, like, I'm going to get you to like me so I can steal from you, or I'm going to get you to like me so you'll give me money, or whatever the thing I wanted. And now I will ignore that part of myself that wants to like tell the best story, because it still does exist in me too. Or, well, sometimes I'll battle with it. But even like with my best friends, sometimes there will be something in me saying, you got to say more. You got to say this. You need to tell her you've experienced that before too, and I'll like kind of die to myself and be like, no, that's not going to make her or you feel loved. And it's just going to detract from what they're trying to tell me.
And that's because you care about them.
Right.
Yeah.
But you could make an argument that like, I am trying to make you happy.
You're trying to make them happy because you care about them,
Right.
and they know that. They know that you love them. You just think about how it plays out in your personal life. If you have a professional come into your space to talk about completing a task that you need to have them do, and that person leaves, and you say, "Dang, that dude, I really enjoyed spending time with that dude. Like, I can tell he was leaning into, who I am and my needs and how I want this job done." And you're like, obviously he was doing that because he wants to get the job. He doesn't actually care about me. I'm totally fine with that. I'm probably going to hire that dude.
Yeah.
But if you have someone come into your space who wants to be your friend, and they're like really going overboard with this stuff, in that situation, you're like, that's weird. Like, I don't know what that person's intentions are. It's easy to nail down the intentions of someone in the workplace leveraging these tactics. It's just weird when you sense that outside of the workplace in your personal relationships.
Yeah.
So one of the other things with work, and I think it kind of went back to, this is the last thing I had on work. It went back to the story you were talking about when that dude was up there and you told him, "Do you ever stop talking?" I think that
wasn't right. That wasn't good communication, by the way.
I think that the workplace is an area where when it needs to happen, the hard things need to be said.
Especially in leadership. I've been kind of itching to like hit on some things that like I struggle with about communication, and I think I'm interjecting, but what you were about to say is something I struggle with. I get attached to people quickly, and like my team at work, I really care about each and every one of them, and I want them to know that I care about them. And so sometimes my struggle is figuring out how to communicate hard things without saying things like, "I'm sorry," or like if they're not doing a good job or they need to improve, I need to leave my ownership out of it. I don't need to say, "I'm sorry, I know this is hard." No apologizing, no like trying to make it about something I did or didn't do. Like, "Hey man, you're not doing the job I need you to do, and I need you to improve."
As long as their issue isn't stemming from something that you're not providing them as a leader.
Lack of leadership.
Yeah.
Well, I always follow up in any kind of constructive conversation with, what can I do? Like, I always leave that open-ended, usually at the end. But still, I struggle with that. I want to sugarcoat. I want to care for them. I'm fine with the bluntness and the honesty that's needed in the front, but I always want to follow it up with some kind of care. And I think as a leader, they need to know I care based on my everyday actions. And it's okay to disappoint or like have hard conversations. And I haven't figured out the art of that as a leader, of communicating when people are failing and me being comfortable communicating that clearly and concisely and telling them exactly what I need from them without convoluting it with all of my own emotions. Like I mean, you and I talk about it with you often when I have to have those conversations, and you give me great input. Like I was writing a letter at work the other day, and I had in there a bunch, we feel, and I said, "Will you look at this for me?" And you said, "I would take any words like feel out of this letter." And I was like, "I'll be darned. Duh. Like, hello. like they don't want to know how I feel in this important conversation. Like they want to know the facts. So yeah, I think that's something I struggle with a lot in communication, is just balancing like the need to be really clear and bold and honest, but not thinking people are so sensitive that they can't handle it, and then I need to like interject with a bunch of pillows underneath them so it doesn't hurt so bad,
Yeah.
It's like,
So you're on that far into the spectrum with the emotion, interjecting emotion into the hard things. But I think that it needs to be said on both ends of that spectrum, when you got to have the hard conversation with your team, or your whether it's your boss, your employee, your teammate, like when you got to have the hard conversation, and this is so difficult, you have to take the emotion out of those conversations on both ends of the spectrum. Because the other thing that you can do is, let's say Courtney thinks my skills at podcasting sucks. I'm just terrible. She's sitting here right now thinking, why are we wasting our time recording this podcast, right? And so then that's my poor performance is aggravating her, because she's part of the team. And like, I need to hear, if I'm terrible at podcasting, somebody from the team needs to come to me and be like, hey, dude, we need to have a hard conversation about this, because we all have to win. We're all on the same part of the team, and your piece of this puzzle is just as critical as my piece producing the show. Like, if you give me crap content to produce, it doesn't matter how good of a producer I am, we're not going to win together. So let's say she wants to come to me with that hard conversation. If she's aggravated by my lack of performance, it's really easy to go on the other end of that spectrum and allow that frustration in terms of motivation to impact how you communicate that to your teammate. And if she comes to me and says, look, Chad, you freaking suck at podcasting, and I can't make nothing out of this crap, man, I'm going to be like hurt by that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's not constructive. Like, what details has like she given you in this example for you to work off of and improve?
I think that's the key. Like, the hard things have to be said in the work environment for the sake of the mission. Everybody needs to understand that, but they have to be, it has to be unemotional, which is extremely hard, and it has to be actionable too.
Yeah.
In the theoretical situation that I just came up with, if Courtney comes to me and she's like, hey, Chad, all right, this is what I'm seeing, this is how I think we can improve the podcast, then that's potentially a hard conversation for her to have with me. But at the same time, I'm able to receive that and know what she sees and know how I can react to that. And we have a way forward,
Yeah. 100%. That makes me think about a couple times with my team. I have gone on the other side of the tracks of what I was saying, and I've just kind of like lashed out in the moment.
Yeah.
And I've learned, if I feel emotional, especially angry or disappointed, even if it feels like it's something at work that needs to be addressed immediately, like if my brain is like, you really need, this is a big deal, like this is really important, I will walk away. And we've done that in our marriage before sometimes too, when stuff's heightened. We were talking about that earlier, but I do that at work a lot. Like, even if it feels like reckless to wait, I'll wait like 24 hours before I address. And it's almost always, I see it through a totally different lens.
Yeah.
And then like your example, like, yeah, just
for me, if it's not emergent necessarily, like we have to fix this now. I mean, sometimes I'll sit on those things for weeks.
Oh, not me.
Yeah, sometimes I'll sit on them for you know, maybe yeah, I mean, I would say weeks in some cases. And I'm always 100% of the time glad I did it.
Mm,
Always.
yeah. What are some ways that you struggle in communication?
My biggest struggle again is lack of, in terms of frequency and amount, and lack of communication. That's the biggest struggle for me, and especially in the workplace. And my team would 100% agree with me. You know, I get so caught up in the role that I play here at 307 Project and all these different pieces. I'm like going here, going there, planning this, doing this, right? We're all just as busy. And it's like it's combating that, getting sucked into the busyness and setting aside intentional time like we did during that time that you were struggling in our marriage, like setting aside that intentional time. Last week here at 307 Project, we set aside a whole day just to like come together and for communication. And I think everybody feels so much better this week after we did that last week. But for me, my weak point is just leaning into really honing in on putting out what fires I need to put out or doing what jobs I need to do. And then I just expect that everybody knows what I'm doing, what I need, and what needs to happen. So for me, the biggest struggle is 100% dropping the ball on just the amount of communication that the team needs in order to all know where we're going, what I got going on, and what I'm struggling with, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost like I would just rather put my head down and just grind through whatever's happening. I'll shut down a lot of times, especially when I get busy. I'll just shut down.
You mean you want your team to anticipate your needs?
No, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. But my team a lot of times needs information from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine is very rarely that I'm not getting what I need. Because I'm like, give me put as much on me as comes. And I'll grind it out. Like I'll get it done. And it's more or less them being like, well, Chad talked about this thing 2 months ago. We haven't heard anything else about it. Are we still doing that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my biggest struggle for sure. What about you?
I think the workplace one that I said about learning to balance being blunt with taking the emotion and the feelings and trying to make everybody happy. And then I think the other one that's just like an all around thing I've noticed about myself in the last few years I want to improve is like being more intentional about being honest with people, like especially family and you, and like saying what I need and not being so worried about like what someone's going to think about it. Like, so what, they take it personally, like as long as it's not me being harmful intentionally, you know, or so what, they think I'm weak, or so what. And most of the things I probably make up that I think they don't even actually think. But yeah, just letting go of those afterthoughts, like learning to express respectfully and kindly, like, hey, I really could use help with this, and not thinking too deeply about like, do they have capacity, but just trusting other people that their yes is yes and their no is no, and I don't need to take care of them. And then I think a lot of women in my circle also say like learning to say no and be comfortable with it. Like even even not giving an explanation sometimes. Like, hey, can you get together this weekend? No, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, if it's somebody I'm in a secure relationship with, that should be fine. You know what I mean? But I think a Southern culture too is very like, if you refuse something or if you say no, you need to say, well, we got this going on, and
Yeah, it's a cultural thing, but I think too it just fits your like we've said so many times, your greatest strengths can become your weakness.
Yeah.
And one of your greatest strengths is your ability to care for people and all different types of organisms, dogs, plants, people.
I love everything.
Yeah, and so like you killed that fly earlier, like you just care about that fly.
I've looked at that fly 3 times.
Yeah.
Since then, and I was like, that looks like a baby fly. It looks like an infant fly.
Yeah, but he died as a result of his own choices that he made as a fly. Right?
Dive bombing me in the eye.
He's got like 2,000 square feet of room to fly around in here. But yeah, that's you a lot of times care too much.
Yes.
Specifically in terms of how people are impacted by the things that you might say or you might not say.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Glad I could point that out for you.
Thank you, baby. And some personality types are like really easy. Like Courtney's really easy for me. Like I can tell Courtney point blank, no, I don't like that idea. I don't want to do it. Or no, and like, but it's the more sensitive persons that like I will change how I communicate to try to care for like their insecurities or what I perceive. I probably don't even really know. That's the thing I want to get away from. I just want to be me. I want to be kind, but I want to just be honest as I get older and like learn to like not worry so much about people, like.
And hopefully the less time you have to live, the easier that'll be.
I think so.
Because a lot of old folks are like that, and I think their mindset is like, man, I'm going to only be around here like 5 or 6 more years if I'm lucky, so
yeah,
screw it.
Well, and like, I feel like a lot of it is a personal, like you're secure within yourself, so you're okay with that. Like, I feel like if I felt really secure on my own intentions, like if someone asked me to do something and I say, no, I'm sorry. And like, I just know that came from a good place. And I think it's like an insecurity thing too. And I think that just naturally gets better as you age. Yeah. I hope. But yeah.
Well, that's all I have for today, boo.
That sounds good. I probably won't be back on this podcast again for another like 3 years or something. Probably like have the baby. Yeah, Courtney can hold Solomon while we podcast. We do need to do, because I won't say exactly because you don't want me to, but I'm due very soon, like very, very soon. And I think once we get out of the trenches, we should come share like how we're surviving.
I would like to come and do a podcast on our perspective on having a child versus all of the normal people who have had children and all the advice they tell us, like, your life's going to change the moment that child wraps his hand around your finger.
That might be true.
It may be. I'm interested, though. I'm interested to have a conversation around the traditional narrative of normal whites who talk about having their kid
true.
Versus how we experience it.
That would be really fun, because
your whole world's going to become all about this child and all this stuff. It's so hard. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. I'm like, okay, well, let's see. I've done some pretty dang hard stuff. I've done a lot of harder stuff than you have. So more than likely, not all of you, but
that would be really fun. Because there is so many classic cliche, like little bits of advice and just like benign feedback that we've received, and it's always the same things over and over and over again. Oh boy. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, so we'll catch up here in a couple of months for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you got something out of the episode, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out tremendously. If you're listening on audio, just follow the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. We appreciate you guys. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you thought about the conversation. And yeah, if you really want to support us and get more content and just be a part of the mission here, if you feel led to do that, you can check out Patreon. There'll be a link in the description of this episode. Love you guys. Enough said.